Okay, family. Once again, this show, brother Talib. I was just interrupted when I first tried to start a new Hangout video about what I'm about to go into in my journal, which is the title of the day for this video Hangout live called "Reality of a Corrupt Nation and World." Now, just bear with me as I go through this, you know, because I usually don't go through stuff like personal journals and stuff like that I write. But this is something, that's really heavy on my heart that I felt that I really needed to go into because of the tumultuous time that we are living in as a nation, far as the United States of America, and particularly far as dark-skinned descendants of slaves born here in America, particularly us as a people. Speaking of us as a group of people, and you know, I would like to just go straight head on off into what I need to say because I mean this is very important. I mean, as we look at the turn of events and what's evolving or changing in our nation every day, which makes the future of America very uncertain as a nation in general, and also, where do we as dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America stand at in the scheme of all of this? So, I want to go on ahead and get through this, you know, and just bear with me because it's very important in this. And I hopefully those of you in social media, well as whether on YouTube or Facebook, heed this message. And those of you that are in the comment section, I just hope you heed this message. That's the only thing I could say. I'm not here, nor are other people on the platform of Operation Exodus Mississippi, aka Reality Temple Ministries on Earth, which I am from. Advocate forcing you to go along with where we stand at on this platform, but this is definitely a serious message that, we as a people, people of soul who are referred to as dark skinned descendants of slaves born here in America. I mean, we got to really, you know, snap up out of our comfort zone. Stop being comfortable in our over 400 years slave like oppression, because I mean, this is serious. I mean, America, as far as we know it, could end at any given time, you know, and how will we be prepared to deal with that as a people? Well, I'm finna go into, some things and even some things that was brought to us as warnings by a couple of notable ancestors of ours, such as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who is the leader of the Nation of Islam, and also the late Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. But anyway, let me start off by going into what I got to say from this journal, as titled Reality of a Corrupt Nation and World. You know, here's something for those among us as dark skinned descendants of slaves born in America who is indulged into religion. Biblical scripture of Ohad, chapter 15, as thou hast done it, shall it shall be done unto thee. As I further go on to explain what this all means, you know, and as we see, America is getting her is reaping what she sows. at this moment in time as we see, especially because of this president, or this racist president that we're currently under. But as I move along further, and that was just for those of you that are into religion, that's into the Bible. I mean, the reality is that if you're gonna be serious about heeding the message or the book that you claim to believe in, then I mean, consider all of what's said in it, you know, and that's just point blank, just like Elijah Muhammad himself once said, take it or leave it. It's just that simple. If you're not going to be wholeheartedly and sincere with what you claim to be about or stand for, then don't even make that claim as a suggestion. I mean, because it really don't make no sense if you're going to make a claim like that, and don't stand by it. And that's for any of you among dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America that's, indulged off into religion. And for those of you as black Muslims, which I just read this scripture out of, which was in the book called The Fall of America, is some other stuff that I need to relate to you. Like here, as far as, and for the black Muslims, and particularly the ones here in America, who are waiting for a God called Master Farad Muhammad Allah to come save them from the quote of fall America. Far as for those of you who believe in the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, so as you say, America should, for those of you, you, you should be preparing yourselves, for what's to come. If whenever it does come. But once again, as I was saying here, like, uh, from the quote, Fall of America should by now be preparing themselves, referring to you as black Muslims in the Nation of Islam, tangibly, for the quoted phrase they use again, as I said before in this journal called Fall of America. So they can properly be prepared to avoid the destruction whenever it comes upon America. Now here, and then as it goes on further to say, now wouldn't doing it this way make sense simply than waiting on a mythical God to come and deliver them from whenever this destruction befalls America? See, I got to kind of come down to your levels, brothers, because I kind of done been there too, I've been a part of the unquote black conscious community. I know how all that basically goes, and what y'all claim to stand for and believe in, And now for that said, I will quote critique, that your leader, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, once said, which was on page 108 in his book called The Fall of America. America has done the worst work of deceiving other peoples and making false friendships now with them. Now her turn has come. No one wants to trust her friendship, for she has deceived many nations. Now, with that said, also we must look at the dynamics of this nation called the United States of America. That indicates exactly the point above as stated by Elijah Muhammad. And unfortunately for those of you who are not followers of Elijah Muhammad, in terms of his religion of Islam and the organization, you know, of the Nation of Islam that he helped, you know, Master Fard Muhammad co-found back in the early 1930s in Detroit, Michigan. Here's a couple of valid or legitimate points now that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the late black civil rights leader from back in the 1950s and 60s, had to say regarding the racism and incorrupt system of the United States. Okay, now, here come the storm. Just bear with me, brothers and sisters. And this is especially for those of us among the dark-skinned descendants of slaves born here in America who choose to think Dr. King was a integrationist. Okay, here's one quote by Dr. King as he exactly states, "I've come upon something that disturbs me deeply. We fought hard and long for integration, as I believe we should have, and I know we will. But I have come to believe that we are integrating into a burning house. I'm afraid that America has lost the moral vision she may have had, and I'm afraid that even as we integrate, we are walking into a place, that does not understand that this nation needs to be deeply concerned with the plight of the poor and disenfranchised." What do we see going on around us? Just based right here. The big wealth, the big gap between the wealthy and the poor, which is creating massive growing tension all across this nation. And as I continue, as he goes on to further say, until we commit ourselves to ensuring that the underclass is given justice and opportunity, we will continue to perpetuate the anger and violence that tears the soul of this nation. Wow. Brothers and sisters, can't you see what's going on? All this racial police brutality, all these, increase of racial attacks on us as dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America, all across this nation, especially since Trump been president. I mean, wake up. This is what this is basically talking about. And this man never claimed himself as a prophet, which, I would state along as I continue to quote out of this journal. He never, said he was some divine savior saint. All he did was, come the way he came and the way that he best knew how to come as far as addressing our plight as people in this country. But and he never even tried to force his Christian beliefs on us either, which I will mention further on, more on. But anyway, it's like he said, basically, once again, I'm gonna repeat it again. Until we commit ourselves to ensuring that the underclass is given justice and opportunity, particularly talking about us anyway, as dark-skinned descendants of slaves born here in America, we will continue to perpetuate the anger and violence that tears the soul of this nation. And then here go another quote by Dr. King in his 1967 speech, which was entitled "The Other America," which clearly explains where we're still at as a country, period, and which has gotten who knows how many more times worse than since he made this statement. I will have to say 50 or 51 to 52 years ago. But anyway, you know, as he goes on to say here, one America is beautiful for situation. Millions of young people grow up in the sunlight of opportunity. But tragically and unfortunately, there is another America. This other America has a deadly ugliness about it that constantly transforms the ebullience of hope into the fatigue of despair. They find themselves perishing on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. Now, brothers and sisters, hear my own words as I go on to speak with this. Now, this is where Martin Luther King Jr. talked about economic gap between poverty and wealth that still to this day produces injustices in terms of economics, which is a clear result of racial hostility here in America. You know, and as I would go on further, Martin Luther King Jr. never called himself a prophet, like I spoke about just before, nor some type of divine messiah, unlike Elijah Muhammad and other Muhammad, such as Louis Farrakhan today, and many more other mythical false prophets and messiahs, such as Elijah and Farrakhan. And I would have to add, including the one I called myself a student of once, Dr. Malachi Z. York. But anyway, moving along, however, it's true that Dr. King was a sincere, devoted Baptist Christian preacher. But one thing he never did was push nor try to force his beliefs on others, which indicates in the points quoted by Dr. King that I just critiqued shows that through plain common sense, the man saw not only what really was going on in his time, but that through common sense realized how worse things would get even beyond now at the point where his life expired as a result. So while you, as dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America, still believe things for your own sakes will get better in this corrupt racist nation, well, while you choose on continuing to be comfortable in your slave-like condition and oppression, you're steadily ignoring the messages that the ancestors before us, such as Dr. King, Elijah Muhammad, and even certain others before them, tried to reach us as a people with, So here we go. Now, as a result, whether we want to accept it or not, our condition is steadily getting worse day by day. I mean, just look around you. As a group of people who are at the bottom of every other group of people here in America, especially the Caucasian, who most of us usually refer to as white people. We, in fact, a matter of the plain truth, can infer the words of Elijah Muhammad on page 108 in the Fall of America book that I quoted from, which is certainly in conjunction with what this racist Caucasian current bigoted U.S. President Donald Trump is doing to further divide the population of the United States, and what he is what he is doing in terms of U.S. foreign diplomacy, which is causing more foreign enemies to rise against the U.S., along with the U.S. losing vital allies in NATO, among other fellow Caucasian Western ruling nations. This is the stuff that, And I'm not going to say because Elijah Muhammad was some divine or prophet or Messiah, as his followers claim him to be or whatever. You know, I'm just dealing with common sense, which connects the dots and lines. It's just that simple, you know. But just like, this in relating to what he said, just like the US government totally broke treaties with, you know, their Native American citizens of its own country. Under the world, now the world is witnessing under the Trump presidency the same way that he is disregarding treaties with other nations, especially to do the bidding of Russia, which is a foreign nation that interfered with the U.S. national election process to get him elected as U.S. president in the first place. So, you know, even in the clear scheme of all of this, as I ask you, my fellow dark skinned people of soul, who are referred to as African Americans, black or Negro, color, and so forth and on, do you really think that things are going to stay the same, not only in America, but for America? There are clear signs, that's pointing straight at the probability of the United States of America no longer being America as we still presently know it. Stuff that me and brother Talik from this platform has been trying to point out to y'all for the longest. But anyway, see, it's like this. The Jews in Nazi Germany did the same thing by ignoring the signs, that led to their Holocaust destruction in Nazi Germany, you know. And today, we as dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America are doing the same thing by ignoring the warnings or signs that's been brought to us by those ancestors before us, and some among us who are still among the living, in fact. Now, the reason me, myself, Brother Talib, and Brother Talik, aka Angel Snup Snup 7, proposed the Mississippi campaign to you all in the first place as the masses of 44 million dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America is in fact for the purpose of directly being able to prepare ourselves as a people from a stronger base, such as having a state behind us, such as Mississippi, so it will be more easier for us as a people to get out of this burning house called America, as Dr. King referred to it as. Now, let's just say if America was in a situation, literally, tomorrow, where she were to fall straight to her knees, or a foreign enemy was successful in invading America militarily, do you know whose heads will be first on the chopping block? Or rather, again, to say the chopping block. Certainly us as so-called African Americans, who are the lowest among the rest of America's population that's at the bottom as a group of people. The foreign enemy, as I would critique even my brother Talik saying basically, uh, probably would not have no use for a bunch of Negroes here in America, and will round us up and put us on ships to be led more likely to worse places on this earth. And the Caucasian rulers of this nation would either put us on boats to be shipped off to some crazy places over in Africa. Oh, and since those of you, who refer to yourselves as Pan-Africanists, particularly I'm talking to those who are dark-skinned descendants of slaves born here in America, who call yourselves Pan-Africanists, in this nation, you know what I'm saying, who want to go or migrate to Africa, since that's what you always hollering out so much. Well, there you go. You know, there you go. So, basically, as myself and Talik and others on our platform who concur that we may be hard off to them FEMA, or as myself and Talik, tongue tied, and others on our platform who concur that we may be hard off to them FEMA concentration camps and mass graves and plastic makeshift human body caskets that await us. This is the reality. Do your research, brothers and sisters. This is not no game. This is for real. Do your research. This is we are being attacked from all four corners. As a people in this country. And while we busy running around partying, hoeing, you know what I'm saying? Getting sexed up, drinking, drugging, and all this other stuff, hanging out, bumping your heads to this crazy rap music and other music, that got you going insane. Those of you that love to smoke your weed, your crack, even some of you that smoke meth, because there are some black people that smoke meth, even though it is considered a Caucasian's drug, but there's some black people, and I know around here where I'm at, that's heavily off into that meth. But man, heroin, all that stuff y'all into, why you busy doing that? Them Peckerwoods decide just one day, especially if destruction or whenever destruction do come upon America, to knock on our doors. Why they standing there, with M16 pump military rifles telling you to step your ass out the door. We taking you somewhere. Don't ask no questions. Just come on, or be ready to get your head blew off in the pizzas. The same basic way they did to them Jews in Nazi Germany. This is not no game. This is for real. This is serious. As I would conclude here, basically, or rather before I conclude, it's like this here. Y'all need to wake up, people. This is very serious. All this in-house fighting, especially even within the black conscious community, whether on social media or off social media, it need to end. It need to really end. Because we are in a dire situation as a people. Right now, we're at the point where we really don't have no choice in the matter. We don't have too much room for all this craziness, even that we are indulging in among ourselves. Whether it's, gangs killing one another, in the streets of Chicago, LA, New York, Detroit, Baltimore, Omaha, St. Louis, Kansas City, wherever we find ourselves in this nation. You know, I mean, it's like we are in a situation. I mean, whether we, run around selling poison to our own people, helping by doing the bid of the enemy to keep our people more dumbed down, sedated off them crazy street pharmaceutical drugs, and all this other stuff. I mean, we need to stop this because I mean, at the end of the day, it all leads to our destruction, which they want anyway. Total destruction. Total destruction. And for those of you in religion who don't believe that, as I once told someone just recently, just sit back in the cut and watch. I mean, just keep sitting back in the cut and just watch. This is not no game. This is for real. We many of our people are dying every day. Well, as of us are being incarcerated every day in this nation's jails and prisons, even for those of us for crimes we didn't commit. I mean, this is just a reality. I mean, and we playing with our own freedom. We playing with the probability of what could be true liberation for us that we've never known as a people in our country since we've been here in bondage for over 400 years. And like I said, it's like you know, we could keep playing. This this is not no game. This just real talk. Even on the street level, like they say, this is real talk. And like I said before, this is why I really don't get caught up in social media or waste my time with those, who just want to use our people, play mind games with our people, even in the conscious community, such as people like Umar Johnson, Tariq Nasheed, Sadnetta, and the list goes on. I mean, you're not serious about true liberation of dark-skinned descendants of slaves born here in America. You're just about making a dollar off our people. I mean, it's just that the reality is it is what it is. It is just simply what it is. And we need to just stop playing games with ourselves. It's like I recently saw a video that brother Talib turned me on to, by Talib. He trying to perpetrate like he the 1990s version of Montel Jordan. Like he trying to still pimp women in the video, and not even updating his swagger. You know what I'm saying? Not even updating the beats of the song, far as the music go. I mean, he just straight out there with it. Even wrote a book on the lessons of how to Mac. Come on. I mean, if that's not obviously showing that that's a sign that that's a mentality where that brother still stands at, then I don't know what else you could call it. Lessons on Macking. Then you say you study other people far as throughout the world. In other words, so then you come in the name of black consciousness just to do the same thing then, basically, is what he's saying. It's no other way than to interpretate it like that. And I mean, it's just crazy. And for those of you that choose to support people like that, hey, keep doing it. Keep being made a fool of. That's all I got to say far as that. But I mean, you know, I mean, like as in my closing, brothers and sisters, as fellow dark skinned people, so who are descendants of slaves born in America, I plead to you, I really plead to you, you know, in closing of this live hangout, to wake up, to this reality before it's too late, and it's just that simple. Wake up to this reality before it is too late. Because, right now, it may in fact, as I would critique my brother Talik saying, it may just in fact be too late for us to mount up a move toward gaining true liberation from under the footstool of our over 400-year-old Caucasian slave master oppressor. You know what I'm saying? And it may just be too late. The way we're going as a people right now, it may just be too late. We might, in fact, be that endangered species that they talk about. It may be, in fact, more of a probability that we may just be heading in that direction, unfortunately. You know, but one thing I could say, you know, it may even have to just get to the point that some of us, even as individuals, like myself, brother Talik, and those that is on the same platform with us that concur, may have to just do whatever we can to survive, especially what's coming, because apparently, as signs is showing clearly that it's pointing us straight in that direction for worse, because we do not choose to unite and come together on a common collective basis to do something for ourselves as a people, to change our whole entire existence as a group of people in this nation, from what we know it now to something much more better, of great possibility, to keep us going and to keep those of the future generations coming behind us going, where they could lead the trail off into a much more better direction, because we're damaged goods anyway. So mainly it's all about them, as I've shared before in other videos, you know. So, like I said before, man, it's just, I mean, I don't know no more better way to put it. But for now, I'm kind of a little wore out. I've been moving around quite a bit today, taking care of some things, doing what's necessary to maintain my own self. But hey, I tell you, we got to get it together, else it's over with for us. As I would conclusively say, as far as what I've spoken on in this video, if we don't get it together, it's over with. And with that said, brothers and sisters, as our late brother, our soul brother, Don Cornelius would say, love, peace, and soul.